Hello Internet, it's time for Wednesday's serial for December 15th, 2010. First up is for the big comic geeks out there, Strange Tales #2. I think you all know the drill. Marvel gets a bunch of independent creators and they do little shticks, and it's overall fairly entertaining. A lot of amazing art in here. They have a bit with Harvey Pekar, which is kind of nice to see given, his passing and all that. And also Terry Moore does a wonderful bit with Thor in here. That's a really creative take on it. And it's just nice to read. Some of it's more adult, some of it's more kiddie, but it's all there. And it's totally worth taking a look at. And it's one thing, honestly, that I wouldn't mind if DC just ripped off the idea and let independent creators play with their properties and do a bunch of weird, cool things, because that's just fun to read. Alright, well, I've been a big McCool fan, and for that I picked up Captain America the Korvac Saga. Actually, mostly I picked it up because Terror Geek really recommended it. And I have to say, reading it, at first it wandered a bit, and it was all over with a bunch of the different Avengers, and then it kind of slowly developed into a villain that was just arrested, kind of puts Cap in a weird position just by talking to him. In a way, he's in control despite being the one behind bars, and it's kind of getting rolling, and I'm intrigued to see what happens in the next issue. It's only a 4-issue miniseries, and it's a $2.99 Marvel book, which is something of a rarity anymore. And I have a lot of faith that it's going to get better, given some of the talent behind it, and the art is cartoony but definitely workable. But at this point, I can't really give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down because I just curious to see where it goes. It could all end in tears, or it could be pretty darn good, so time will tell. So, Amazing Spider-Man 650 hit, next part of Big Time, Dan Slott's run, and if you've been liking it, you'll like it. If you haven't, you have it. It's kind of a continuation, is playing more off of the idea that Spider-Man's now in a science area and he's building himself up a new suit, thus the cover. And there's a little more to it, and I think it's a lot more witty than the last time he had some high-tech suits, so but they do actually mention it. But more importantly, the Black Cat bathes in milk. Buy this comic! Uncanny XForce #3 is out, and I have to say, it's pretty ballsy. It starts off like the first half of the issue just focused on the villains, and third issue in, that's a heck of a lot. You really haven't had time to focus on each member of the team yet, and especially since Phantom X really hasn't been around in continuity for a while. That's pretty interesting in the way they just play it up and just already in dire straits. I mean, seeing where this going, I mean, it's definitely not the most original thing ever, but they're playing with a lot of different things, and it's really easy to see already that this book is willing to do stuff, not be shocking in certain ways, but do a certain amount of things that, in a more understanding of where comics normally go, are a bit shocking. And then it's just willing to hit these points. I mean, you have this Apocalypse that's this little kid, and Betsy comes in with katana just ready to cut him down, and it's just like, I honestly don't know what's going to happen next. I have a rough idea of how this needs to resolve in some fashion, given what the solicits are and everything, but the movements this book are taking makes an enjoyable read through and through, and the art, panel by panel, is perfect. The exact amount of detail where needed, and then the color just adds on another level to all of it. If every Marvel book had this level of art, price point would never be an issue. Well, I finally have a Bat book that I'll really like. Birds of Prey, now a part of Batman Incorporated. Apparently, with everything that's going on, it's playing in, and it makes sense. And for that, I'm kind of glad. I'm just hoping that gives this book the attention it really deserves, and hopefully people pick up and start seeing Gail Simone's doing some great work, and hopefully they'll be able to switch up the penciler, because I don't know how, but it's really clear that the inker and the colorist are saving the day, because the facial features just kind of change every now and again, and it's really distracting at points, but this book is worth it hands down. Alright, last but certainly not least, Black Panther, The Man Without Fear 513. Picking off of Daredevil's numbering, this book is moving forward where T'Challa is picking up the mantle as the protector of Hell's Kitchen. And this book is a little off-kilter and feels way different than any other superhero book on the shelves right now. This is very reminiscent of an older Wildstorm book back when they were trying to play things a little different. I think this book is really going to take off and be a gem to stick out for those who are willing enough to pick it up. And I have a feeling that it's going to fall a little short on sales and whatnot, but please, if you're considering any different kind of book, this is a great one to pick up on. If you don't know Black Panther, you don't really need to. It's playing off of a lot of events that have happened, but at the same time, it's supposed to be a fresh start, so it's a good fresh start for the reader. And the way they go about Black Panther here is very different. The interesting thing here is that T'Challa has always been a king, a matter of royalty, and they've always played that as like the best kind of king you'd ever want to have. But for his own reasons here, he feels he needs to be completely alone, cut off from all of Wakanda, and also cut off from Storm, his wife, and basically trying to move into where he's trying to be part of the city, but he's finding that it's hard to connect with people because they don't just trust a random stranger. And being so alone is such an interesting character development all to its own for this. Seeing a man who's used to more or less being served on for some of the base things kind of struggling just to kind of deal with some things that most people would find normal in some ways is an interesting concept. And also seeing that you have not a lawyer but someone just trying to make it in Hell's Kitchen, I think is going to bring across an angle, coupled with the idea that this man was once a king, really I feel is going to be played upon heavily. And for that, this book will be worth picking up. It may fall in not too long, but I have a feeling these first 6 issues, this first run of it, is going to be a Marvel gem that people will be talking about for years and kind of going back to for saying, oh man, remember when that happened? And it's just something unique and definitely worth checking out. So that's all for right now, but I will hit you back soon with another comic review. If you want, check me out on Twitter at MagicalMatt42. Until then, peace, love, and a pint.